Moana inspired room. Yay, Moana! I absolutely love Moana. I love everything about that movie. It was so beautiful, so gorgeous. I think I saw it twice in the theaters. I don't know. And then as soon as it came out on DVD, I had to have it. And we had to build a room, and I have 2 Moanas. Yeah, a little bit of a Disney fan here, and definitely a Moana fan. That is why when we decided to make her a room, I wanted to make a room that really represented what the movie was about, or represented what she was about, which was the Hawaiian culture. And it is so awesome and beautiful, and just like, there's so much texture. I love it. In designing this room, I watched the part of the movie at the very beginning where the grandma was telling the stories, and all the kids were sitting there like, ooh, ah. And there were panels of fabric that came down all the way around, so it was nice and dark, like the perfect setting for a story. However, this doesn't really look dark, and you can't see the panels of fabric here. This should help. Yeah, that is so much better. And the background really helps to make you feel like you're there. I love backgrounds. In the movie, these had beautiful, intricate paintings on them, and originally I planned on replicating those kinds of paintings onto the panels. I just didn't get around to it. I know that's like the worst excuse. And yeah, sometimes I get a little lazy in my crafting. I do. I admit it. I'm not proud of it, but it happens. Although I feel like this room has a lot of detail, even though it is very simple. All we did to make this room was we started with a base, and we used a sandpaper print for the base. I found this exact scrapbook paper at Joann's Fabric, so if you have one of those, that's the only place I have ever been able to find this kind of sand print. And it's my favorite sand print because it has so much texture. Then we added a base on top, and it's like a platform. No, okay, so there's the base, and then here's the platform. Sorry. And the platform is pretty low to the ground, although I felt like we had to make it some kind of platform. When you're making your project, you can choose to raise it up a little higher. However, for filming purposes and staying inside the scope of my camera, sometimes I am limited to the size of our creations, because then it won't fit in my screen without having to stand all the way in the back of the room. Then we went paper tube crazy. The kids' homework has kind of just been piling up. We haven't been doing a ton of paper crafts lately. I mean, kind of, but they haven't been like, with rolls of paper, which is my favorite way to recycle school paper. Kids bring home so much paper from school. It's insane. And so this is how I, cope with the fact that there's so much paper always in the house. I turn it into stuff. And this, I don't know how many sheets of paper this was. This was quite a few because these are very, very thick. And we used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 paper tubes around the front. And then at the very top, there are paper tubes that go along from each pillar as well. So yeah, it's a lot of paper. But I'm really, really happy that that's paper that is not in the trash. Yay, planet! So if you have mastered the art of the paper tube, then this project is no problem for you. I put on a movie and just sat there and rolled paper tubes for like hours. And the way I always roll my paper tubes is I use a wooden dowel for the center, because wooden dowels are 12 inches. And it's always really helpful when the center the piece that you use for rolling, can't talk. And it's really helpful when what you're rolling around is longer than your paper. Yes, that's what I'm trying to say. The wooden dowel is 12 inches and the paper is 11 and a half, so it gives you a little extra on the ends that you can use to help get the paper nice and tight. And one day we can sit down and go through how we roll a really tight, strong paper tube, because these are so much fun. Think of all the things you can make with paper tubes. We can make island bedrooms, we can make Grecian temples, columns, pillars. It's so much fun. We can make Moana's boat. That would take a lot of paper, but that would be awesome. So awesome! So after we rolled our large homework paper tubes, we then covered the outside with a wood grain scrapbook paper, and I added a textured scrapbook paper to look like there's carvings going down the wood beams. In the movie, all the wood beams are beautifully and intricately carved. However, I only had like 1 or 2 pieces of the scrapbook paper, so I had to ration it. And so instead of covering the whole beam or larger parts with the scrapbook paper, I did it in smaller sections so that I could kind of spread out the pattern. Then, to add more texture, we wrapped it with twine or hemp or whatever you want to call this. I find it at Home Depot. I pay like $2 for a large spool of this kind of twine. I call it twine. I don't know. Everyone calls it something different, but I call it twine. And it's like $2 at the hardware store, and it's one of my favorite things to work with because it's inexpensive, yet it has a great texture, and you can hot glue it or use regular glue, and it sticks really good because it's got like, you know, natural fibers. Then, sorry. And then we wrapped the top of the beams to really help to reinforce it. And it just looks so cool. Even though we covered a lot of it up with the roof, that we cut up, what is this, paper bags? Yeah, we cut up paper bags to make the roof. Another fun way to recycle. But I think it all came together nicely to give us this beautiful, really rich texture island effect. Since this is supposed to be a tropical island, we had to add some plants. Ideally, I would have loved to have built like a forest going all the way around, but since we didn't have that kind of space, we just added a little bit of greenery to the corners. At this corner, we started out with a low type of bush kind of plant, then we had a wider leaf, and then a large palm at the top. And I only had 2 of these large palms. I really wanted more. This is what I wanted to be hanging down the side so it looked like there was a large palm tree, but I only had 2 leaves. So I had to, once again, ration my supplies. So we have one here, and then there's another one on the other side. Then we added some green plants just kind of hanging down so that we have different levels or layers of the greenery. We have some in front and then we have some in the back, which helps you to think that there's more there than is actually there. It's all an illusion. Let's talk about this hammock. This was a big hit in this video. The hammock is very simple to make. It is very time consuming, but it is very simple to make. I actually learned how to do this weaving technique in the 4th grade using just cardboard and yarn. I know, super simple supplies. Most people will have that around their house, and you're able to make pretty much your own textiles, which is so cool. And look at the texture. You know I'm crazy about texture. You can't get better texture than this. It's so textured. What is the word of the day? Texture. And I know somebody is going to watch this video and count how many times I say the word texture because, yeah, texture is very important to this project. You need a lot of good texture. And for our beautifully textured hammock, I used a 100% cotton yarn, and the color was called Natural. I found it at Michael's craft store. And it has these little tiny specks of color in it. Let's see if we can get the camera close up. Can you see all of those little specks of color? And that was important to me because I really did want all of this to look very natural. We love the hammock so much that we made a separate video on it going in detail how to make the entire thing. So you might want to go and check that one out too. And this is actually the 2nd hammock that we have made. We've made one before a long time ago using it was a striped fabric, and that was really cool. It was very similar to the Barbie hammock that just came out. That one did require some sewing, so if you're looking for a no-sew option, then this one is it. Plus, you can make this very large. You can. I've seen people say they want to make these for their cats. Just make sure the ends are very secure. Have the seat in the hammock. It's super comfy. Uh-oh. We're just gonna use our hammock for Moana's bed. For our last little textured detail, we made these crocheted baskets using the same twine that we used around the top of the pillars. This gives the room some storage and they really look great. We didn't go into detail on how to crochet these baskets in the video. People have been asking for us to make a video on how to crochet, and I can make one. It's just that I probably don't crochet the traditional way. I don't know. I was never like formally taught. I learned when I was 10, one afternoon when I was sick. My grandmother taught me, and I only really learned one stitch that I kind of use for everything. Well, not stitch, but crochet. And I am actually happy to show y'all. So we will definitely do a in detail video on how we make the baskets, if you would like one. So let us know in the comments below and we can make that for you. Overall, I think this project was a lot of fun. Since we only made half of the room, it can easily be stored on a dresser or a shelf. And I think there is potential to maybe add on, making the perfect home for Moana. I absolutely love this doll. I love the hair. I love how different she is. She is definitely one of my faves. We hope she enjoys her island room. So awesome! So check out the video to see how we made this room and the video for the hammock. There's even a 360 tour of this whole room in our doll beach video, so that was a lot of fun. Also, follow us on Instagram at MyFroggyStuff and The Frog Vlog. Hey, you're missing a few. Sorry about that, Moana. But we are also Froggy Stuff on Twitter and The Frog Vlog on Snapchat and My Froggy Stuff on Facebook. And for this video, be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. All right, Sophie out. And we hope you have as much fun as we did making your own Moana Island room. We want to give a shout out to Mammy. What's up?